I love this quote. I've loved it for a very long time. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it. And that, of course, is from Ferris Bueller. So today what I'm talking about is the power of volunteering, specifically in a climate change world. So this presentation I put together for you folks. And why are we talking about climate change? Well, one of the things that you've recently seen was that the federal government's now setting a carbon tax, right? And provincial government's doing it. We're going to have all this money coming in, but why are they doing it? The climate actually is changing. And what we're seeing is more frequent and more severe storms. And what we saw on May 4th was the strongest winds since Hurricane Hazel. That was over about a 5-hour period, and there was significant destruction or damage to roofs. We're also seeing changing weather patterns around the globe. Europe's had some really cold weather that's abnormal. We've had 3 Category 4 hurricanes last year in the Atlantic at the same time. That's really unprecedented. And then we've got this thing like winter to summer with no spring. Like one day you're heating the home, the next day the air conditioning's running. And we anticipate that this is going to be more frequent and more often, and we're also looking at wind loads increasing. So higher water events and higher wind load events are happening. So why would we build a net zero home? Well, because we're trying to reduce our carbon footprint. What does net zero mean? It's a home by definition that is going to be designed and modeled and built to produce as much energy as it consumes. Pretty straightforward. So you're looking at how much it's going to have to operate the home, how much the occupants are going to use within the home, and the biggest load is, guess what? The people. It doesn't really take that much to run the home. I've done it on 30 amps last summer, cooling, air conditioning, everything. So then we have to keep engineers away from designing. That could be a net zero, that's a real house. It could be a net zero home, but it doesn't make sense, right? On the other hand, it could look like this. That would fit in a subdivision, right? In fact, that's actually on Brattle Path. That's our solar panels. It's a net zero home, and it won that, which was the first ever net zero home award in Canada for Canadian homebuilders. Kind of cool. Doug Tarry Homes is really pumped about that. But our society is changing too. Technology is evolving. That's you guys right here, right? Stuff that you're doing now didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. I've actually done many presentations where I'll say, okay, everybody show me your flip phone. Remember those? That was not that long ago. Smartphones, social media, how we buy it, what we buy, and where and when we buy it are all changing. Amazon's investing a lot of money to be able to drop stuff right in your front yard. But we're also closed off from each other. We're less neighborly, and I think we're become more focused on me because everything's becoming internalized. We spend so much time being bombarded by images that we don't really have time to get out and do things like we used to do, like barn raisings and getting the crops in and stuff that they did back in the day. So in many ways, I think we've lost our purpose, or at least our sense of hope. And I want that back, and that's why I do these talks. So It's a Wonderful Life. Have any of you ever seen this movie, It's a Wonderful Life? Okay, good, that's important. Because there's this guy named George Bailey, and it's amazing the similarities between his life and my life. I'm from a construction family. My dad died. I had to help run the business. Yeah, got that. I had a personal crisis of faith in humanity. His was a personal crisis of faith with what happened in his company as well. And I found depression can be really overwhelming. It's very hard to get out of. I didn't have a guardian angel though. Remember Clarence? Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings, Clarence. I didn't have that. And then came the birth of hope. Project Hope. A gentleman by the name of Johnny Noren passed away from T-cell lymphoma a couple years ago now. And I remember being at his visitation, and I knew Johnny. In fact, he was at my training session at that net zero home. Johnny, what do you think of this house? Oh, Doug, man, don't make me learn this stuff. He's a building inspector, right? Great guy. I was at his visitation, and my wife and I were in front of his widow, Angela, and it was like he put his hand down on me and said, dude, I know you're in a bad place, but if you do this for my family, it's going to help you. was just instantaneous that I knew, we're builders, we build, we're gonna build a house. Well, how do we make it like really successful? Well, let's build it in 3 days. I know we can do that because the guys in Barrie have done it and they're friends of mine, so I'll get them to help me. Well, geez, we should make it harder because this whole climate change thing's happened, so we should talk about climate change. Let's build in that's already home. Okay, so we're gonna do that in 3 days. That makes sense. So how do we make it harder? Let's film it. Just so we have it on film. That'd be really cool, right? Then we remember it later. And so all these things went through my head in a nanosecond. And then I had to figure out how to first talk her into it, after I talked the trades into it, and then I had to find 600 volunteers. And so I'm hoping...
Our crew arrived here at 5:30 in the morning in Ontario, Canada.
We got here, it was like some concrete and a hole in the dirt.
That was it, but now, check this out. They built a home in like 6 or 7 hours.
It's incredible. They're going at it, building stuff. There's the electrical. They built the entire roof here and then craned it up on top of the place. It's just absurdly awesome.
It's pretty crazy. It's called Project Hope. So a young man passed away from cancer. The community heard about it. They're building a home in 3 days, selling the home, and all of the proceeds go to that family. It's called Project Hope. And you know what? I think they nailed it. Did you see that expression?
That's my friend Joe Kessler from St. Paul, Minnesota, from Up Top Films, and they were one of 2 film companies that were on set there for our build. The other was Electric Motion Pictures, who did the Black Donnellys last year. And we were really pumped to have them involved, because it became an international film crew. At one point we had 13 cameras going. So I'm hoping this might be a little bit loud, but I'd like to include this because this actually shows you the build and what we did. So effectively, we created a factory in a field. Had just-in-time delivery. Home hardware was incredible with the help they gave us. And we were able to bring the product in just as we needed. And it was amazing to watch. The roof that we brought on, they custom built the sling for putting the roof on, just for this job. North Star, St. Thomas Manufacturing, provided the windows. Angela, the lady we were going for, laid the very first stone. She also did the decor on this house. When the brickies started to brick the home, they began by singing Amazing Grace. It was really incredible. So these guys on the side here are $80,000 solar panel units. When that roof, that deck got craned over top, I was like sweating worse than I am now until I got over top of it. You remember that? You were here forever. So in our industry, to do a net zero home, we have to do a blower door test. We actually test the airtightness of every house we build. And at 39 hours, we hit 0.63 air changes, which is actually below my average. That's less than 1/4 of the building rate. Now, we had to lay sod, and I thought, well, that's kind of boring. How do we make it interesting? we made it a race between the police and the fire department. They laid that stuff in like less than 10 minutes. That was really cool. Thank you, sir. And yes, we did the cheesy movie RV. So the interior decor was done from our decor studio by Angela, working with our decor consultant. And interestingly enough, at OHBA Awards last fall, she was nominated as a finalist for interior decor. Not bad for a rookie. I'm just gonna jump through this. So we had a couple hundred sponsors and then 600 volunteers. We went around the clock. It was just really incredible. And then I went and crashed. I have a habit of doing this. I do something really stupid and then I crash. But it helped me recover my sense of humanity. It was really incredible to see people come together to do this type of job. People said, well, what are you going to do after that? Well, I'm going to sleep for a few months. And they said, is this going to be like an annual thing? Like, how are you going to pick, how are you going to do this again? I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do this again, but it's not meant to be a single event. It was meant to be a movement. It's meant to inspire people to say, hey, we need to do more for each other and start thinking about how we can do more for each other. So more of a movement. And then Hurricane Maria happened.
El huracán María se ha fortalecido en su camino hacia Puerto Rico y podría convertirse en el primer ciclón. El gobernador de Puerto Rico ya declaró a la isla
This is ground zero for climate change and what actually happens in a hurricane.
comunidades que están en zonas inundables y dijo que los puertorriqueños se deberían preparar para una catástrofe. Además,
I want you to watch the roofs. Even a concrete home can be that badly damaged by the water because it's coming in so hard and so fast. This lasted about 8 hours. And if they didn't have access to gasoline that came back to them, they effectively got bombed back to the Stone Age. SOS. So I see this and I'm like, well, look, I know I got a specific kind of skill set. I think I can help. So a friend of mine that I was actually building a home for at the time said, he speaks Spanish very well. I don't. We got to go to Puerto Rico. I'm shortening the story for compressing the time. So we went down there and we did our assessment mission. We set up Hope Agua Vida. We're in the process of setting up the Terry Hope Foundation for donations as well as an actual charitable foundation. This is a not-for-profit. We go down there. Every dime that we spend down there, we have to raise, and it goes towards fixing things. But that was about Hurricane Maria. And so I've got maybe a few more minutes of videos. I think we're probably a little long on time, but I started late. So we're okay? Perfecto.
Project Hope began in St. Thomas the summer of 2016 when a young man passed away suddenly, leaving his wife and 2 young children in a desperate way. A small army of volunteers and generous companies came together to help a neighbor in need. Hope for this family's future came from watching the love of a community and so many volunteer tradespeople build a complete home in just 3 days. That home would then be sold and the proceeds given to the family to help build their future. Just a few short months later, news of the massive destruction in Puerto Rico from Hurricane Maria sparked Hope to once again want to reach out with that same compassion to help rebuild homes and lives.
It's a massive reconstruction job and probably, I'm afraid to say, a change of life for people here for the years ahead. This has been a devastating blow.
A November triage mission identified the needs in the small town of San Lorenzo, and the team went into fundraising mode back in Canada and returned in January to do their first building mission and training local residents advanced building techniques that they could continue to use themselves after the mission team returned to Canada. A larger team is returning in May to continue the building mission and the important training of locals to empower them with hurricane-resilient building techniques. Canadian home builders supporting this mission know that they aren't only rebuilding lives in Puerto Rico. This humanitarian initiative is allowing them to utilize advanced techniques and processes in the harshest of environments, knowing that as climate change is increasing weather-related risks in Canada, these nature-tested techniques will become assets back home. To find out more about Hope Agua Vida, go to hopeaguavida.com.
So we've set up a concrete repair company down there for fixing the concrete roofs. It's mostly women. And we brought in experts to teach them how to do it because we don't really want to fix concrete. We like wood. There's a lot of concrete down there that needs fixing. And we thought it's a really good way to have almost like microloans for getting small business off and running so that these ladies could be taught how to do it. That's something they can do for a few hours several times a week around running their households, right? So a very powerful opportunity. Our mission has grown. We actually just got back. We had 25 people on the last mission. We had a PhD grad student. We're now working with the Western University on resiliency and fasteners and great stuff like that. We're working with Fanshawe College, one of their construction professors who's involved with women in carpentry, because we're trying to encourage women to come into the trades, which is really important. And we are studying resilient construction techniques at Ground Zero. There's a very rich environment of targets down there, so it's a really great opportunity to go and see destruction in practice, much more so than what we can do here. As I said, a movement, not an event. Our Facebook page, there's lots of information on there if you want to go and follow us. Why we're doing it and what's so cool about this, I really can't tell you much more than this lady right here is helping to repair somebody else's roof. She's the one that's in this picture right here. And that's the first day they're actually looking out the back window, the back door, of their house for the first time in 8 months. We rebuilt that home in 6 days. Plus we fixed 2 other roofs. So, lessons from this journey. The power of helping others is amazing for healing. I really highly recommend it. I believe it really elevated our business profile in a very positive way. It was incredible for our trade relations. all of the different projects have been really amazing. And there's really not much more powerful than giving a family hope. So if you have that opportunity, as I said, I really encourage you to do it. So what's left? Well, moving. Any advice that I could give? Do something epic. Once in your chance in your life, if you get the opportunity, jump at it. Do something small. Step outside of your comfort zone. And give hope where there is none. It's important. We need to reach out to people. We need to engage more. Sometimes, my wife said, hey, maybe one night we can have that computer on. Yes, honey, that's a very good idea, because we forgot. We get so jammed into that. But you know what? When we're down there, or we're doing the other build, we don't have the computer on. It's kind of cool. So, of course, I have to leave you with this.
He got down on his knees in front of everybody and told me I was the most magnificent creature he'd ever met. And he asked me to be his wife. And when I said yes, everybody cheered.
I don't wanna go slow with you, but you asked me to.
Johnny was an incredible goalie. When he was in his soccer net, that was his sanctuary.
Every game, every week when I make up the game sheet, he's still on our roster.
That's where the whole world disappeared. We're starting brand new careers, and we said we're gonna live in this house for 5 years, and then we'll be on our feet again, right? Johnny will have a higher position as a building inspector. I hopefully will have a permanent position as a teacher. And then we're gonna build another house. We had a plan, and we had each other. Then cancer came along, so I thought it was all over. I thought all our plans were all over. And then Doug came to me and said, this is really weird, but I feel like your husband wants to build a house. Does that make any sense to you? Yes, that's Johnny.
When hardships happen, when challenges arise, you don't have to wait for government. Communities like St. Thomas, you don't have to ask them twice. In fact, sometimes you don't even have to ask them. They just start doing.
Builds me a house. All the way from heaven. Nothing more romantic than that, is there?
I'm very blessed by what I've been able to do in my life, and I can't wait to see that movie. I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, I said I'd leave time for questions. Barry, is that okay if I answer whatever?
Actually, what I really want to do is thank Doug, absolutely, for showing up here today. Absolutely. I know it's we got off to a little bit of a late start, and I know that there are people coming in, and it's going to make a lot of noise for us. I want to thank a big shout out to Graydon Lang and Lang Studios. Thank you very much for jumping in at the last minute and doing this video for us. So really appreciate that. What I would love to do is maybe just in an informal setting, we'll shut down the lights and do whatever. But basically, we'll latch onto this guy and ask him all the questions, so he's not on the lights, and we can just pick his brain. So if that's okay with you folks, and that's okay with you, we might even buy him a beverage of some description. Let's give it up for Doug Tarry. Thank you.